现在您到了教育部来了，我不知道您对于教育部的官员还有我们的老师在这方面的培训的工作，不知道您有没有什么样子的计划呢？
我当然作为教育家，他们也一定要跟其他的学生一样，要有一个学习的精神，所以无论做什么事业，都是要一直在努力的去学习新的课题，新的方式，所以我在这方面会很注重。Yes. For today, I'm very pleased to be here at Ngam Polytechnic. As you know, I started my public service career outside of the police as a director of higher education, and I'm very pleased to see the progress that we have made within just this short, 14 years or so. Yeah, you can see the facilities around the polytechnics. You can see the quality of the graduates. I've just spoken to all the medal winners, and each one of them has a very inspiring story. So I find it very heartwarming. Yeah. By the way, if you have the opportunity, you should profile some of them because it's such a wonderful story of people from various backgrounds making such good progress through their own efforts, through the encouragement of their parents, and through the education that we are able to provide. Yeah.
So returning to the Ministry of Education,
yes.
Are there any policies you plan to review?
Well, education is a very large and complex topic. I think what we do in education policy affects many people and affects our long-term future. So what I want to do is to study the issues carefully, to look at what are the key problems and key issues that we need to tackle, as well as to look at the critical challenges of the future, so that we can make the necessary policy changes early. Now, in that process, I intend to engage a wide spectrum of people to get their inputs. As you know, yesterday on my first day, I visited a primary school. Now, I believe that the schools is where the education takes place. We need to support our teachers and our principals in the front lines so that they can do what they are most passionate about.
What will you be focusing on for now?
Well, I am looking. I'm in a study phase along in line with what you said, and so I'm studying the changes in our policies over the years. I am consulting with a very wide group of people. I've started talking to the principals. In fact, yesterday I sent out an email to all our principals in our primary and secondary schools and our JCs, and quite a number of them have already emailed me back with their inputs. So I'm very happy with that. I'll continue with that process in the coming weeks. So in the next few days, I will be continuing to visit schools, secondary schools, junior colleges. I would have to take a short break from doing that in June because it's a June school holiday. I don't want to disrupt the schedule of our teachers. And then I will be visiting our institutes of higher learning.
Some preliminary feedback from the principals. What are some of the general sentiments from them?
I will go into details on that later, but since it was given to me in confidence, I want to study that carefully first. Yeah.
Minister, you mentioned 3 things that polytechnics should take note of going forward. What do you think of the polytechnic landscape, and going forward, will there be changes coming out in this area?
Well, I think our polytechnic system has evolved very well over the years. I mentioned about some of the direct entry from the ITEs to the polytechnics, and this through train programs from the normal streams into polytechnic. I think those are very important ways for us to maximize the opportunities for our students to get a better education. So I'll be having more in-depth discussions with our polytechnic principals and the leaders in this sector to update myself on the changes that have taken place since I was last Director of Higher Education, and then we can then determine the key priorities going forward. I mean, what we know for sure is that the economic competition is going to be more intense, and for us to meet that, we need to develop our people to their fullest potential. We have been able to create more diversified pathways for our students to succeed. And in this regard, I must say that the polytechnics have been very responsive. This very close linkage with the industry, this very symbiotic relationship with the industry has served us very well. And it is a strength that we must continue to harness. And I also mentioned in my speech that, the citizenship education, these values are very important. I've been very involved in the economic aspects of education in my work at MTI and at MAS. As some of you know, in MTI, I did a lot of work to ensure that our polytechnic, our education system, particularly in higher education, is closely aligned with our economic policies, so that when our graduates leave the IHLs, they are able to get good jobs. Now, the other aspect that I'll be concentrating on is to focus on the values and character development, because I believe that will shape our future as a people. The kind of value system, the kind of beliefs that our people have. And that is very important for us as a very young nation in our nation building efforts.
Yes. Talk about engaging with principals and students. What about the parents? How will you be engaging with them?
Certainly. And in fact, if you look at my Facebook, there are many parents who have already made comments on the Facebook. I had parents who had emailed me directly on my public account. And we will be organizing more specific sessions to tap the views of parents. For every parent is concerned about the future of their children, and I think that's a very good thing in Singapore, that our parents take education so seriously. It is an important strength, and I would certainly want to hear from them.
Yes. So other than new media and through emails, any other ways you're going to reach out to parents?
Well, we will be organizing our sessions either by themes or by groups. Yeah. So I would provide more details later. This is my second day, and I'm still getting briefings from my people. I had a 16-hour day yesterday, so.
MOE will be working closer to the ground as compared to the past, listening to feedback. Is that something that you all hope to do?
Is that something
that you all hope to do going forward, to listen to the ground more than?
Yes. I mean that's definitely the way forward, because I think we are starting from a better base today than we were, say, 20 years ago. Our students are much better informed. They are well traveled. Our parents are better educated. They have views of what is the way forward. And it's very important for us to be able to harness these ideas, this energy. And I mentioned earlier on that, achieving good educational outcomes has to involve a process of partnership. A partnership between the schools, the teachers, the principals, and of course the students, parents, and the broader community who have an interest in education. Just as you look at the success of our polytechnic system, it is successful because of this very close relationship that the polytechnics have been able to forge with the industry and to make it relevant. And in turn, students themselves, have a very close relationship, whether it's in internships or work attachments. So I think the value of doing that is, first, you get a better outcome, and second, I think you engender a sense of ownership for the things that we do. Yes.
Minister, what are some of the challenges you foresee in bringing up this role of education minister?
What are some of the challenges? Well, I think I've always had a very keen interest in education, as you mentioned, in all my various jobs. So in MTI, I did this coordinations with the educational institutions. In MAS, I started a number of research institutes with the universities to make sure that our education and research efforts can position us well for the future. So, and in MAS, I created the MAS Academy to make sure that MAS officers can keep up with the latest changes in finance. So I believe this very strong interest will be useful. I've been involved in policy making for more than a decade now, and I hope to bring some of that policy making process to the job. Of course, there are many areas which are new to me, and I would have to pick it up quickly in the coming months. I'm very happy to say that our professionals at MOEs and in our schools, in our IHLs, are all very passionate about what they do, and I will certainly be tapping on them.
For the education reform, right, what do you have any plans for it, or even follow the option?
Yes. No, I think it's too early for me to announce what changes. What is important for us is that, as I mentioned, education has very long-term impact and impacts many people. So we should not be hasty in making changes just for the sake of making changes. It's important for us to study the issues carefully. I'll be looking at specific issues, first identifying the priorities, and for each of the priority areas, gather the facts and data to analyze it carefully, look at the various options that we have, engage our various communities to look at, to debate some of those trade-offs and some of the options. And then and get ready our implementations mechanism, because it's not just that we decide on the policy and tomorrow it gets done. Our teachers, our principals, and our students have to be prepared for any change. So we have to be a very thoughtful process.
But you don't think that change is necessary?
Well, certainly, because I think, as PM has noted in his speech, the world is changing rapidly, and our society is changing rapidly. So what we have done, I think we have a good foundation. Our challenge is to identify what are the key issues we have to tackle today, and what are the critical challenges for the future, so that we can make changes early and be prepared for the future. Thank you very much.